Thanks, Jim. Justin Stone here with EliteBaseball.tv. Today we're coming to you from our home office, and I just returned from Cubs Instructional League. And I think it's important for our listeners and viewers to hear some of my takeaways from that. As I watched in Instructional League, a lot of the younger prospects in the organization, in some cases 17-year-old kids from the Dominican, to some AA players playing in the Arizona Fall League that will most likely get a chance at the big leagues one day, 25, 26 years old. And my takeaway from it is watching these players over the course of the week battle mechanical inefficiencies, battle the stress and duress of facing very high-level pitching and what that does to the body in the batter's box, and the mental side of dealing with failure and understanding that hitting is really hard. And that doesn't change when we're dealing with a 9 to 11-year-old player in the cage, that the instant gratification and instant satisfaction they want to get is just completely unrealistic. So how, as a parent, can you help through the process of hitting? So you just heard me say that the process of hitting and learning how to hit still continues when you're 25, 26 years old. Hopefully this time you're getting a chance to play at the highest level of baseball. If you're playing at 25 or 26, you probably have ideas that you're going to get a shot at the big leagues one day. And although at 9 to 11 years old, that's not what we're striving for with all of our players right now, but we know the mental side of the game can really beat us up. And during the process of learning how to hit, when we get concerned so much about the outcomes, that's when it really stresses us out, because we're going back to looking for immediate satisfaction of something that takes years to perfect, if you ever perfect. I go back and I say this a lot to our young hitters. There's about 5 guys in the big leagues that I consider having perfect swings. And even those guys have to manage their swing flaws on a day-to-day basis. The maturity that comes with that is knowing your sticking point and how to manage that in your own repertoire of drills. So you need to figure out, as a young hitter, earlier you can figure out what style is going to fit you, what your athleticism will allow you to do, and that's going to be different from individual to individual. To think that an 11-year-old is going to be able to lift his knee like Josh Donaldson and have dynamic balance enough to control that move out to foot down and be consistent with it is probably asking too much. So you have to tailor a style that's going to fit in with what the player's athletic assets are going to give you. When I watch this at the pro level, I see those guys struggle with the exact same thing I struggle with players initially in the cage when they come to me. The first lesson or two, I really work on hitting position and tempo. Because without the feeling of the body working and harnessing energy over a long period of time in a slow, controlled way, it's very difficult ever to have a repeatable swing or mechanical efficiency. So when we were watching 17, 19-year-old players, rookie ball type players in pro ball, they were struggling with the exact same things. And it happens for a lot of different reasons. Either the guy in front of me in the cage hit 3 home runs, so I want to come in and I want to match him. I want to do it just as well. So I end up muscling up and firing from the top, and now I become very inefficient. I'm working harder, but I'm producing less result. And that's what young kids do too. Under stress, they want to try harder. They want to work harder, because that's what sports has told us to do. We're not doing it as well, and somebody, revs their engine a little bit and tries to give them a fiery pep talk, and they get in there and they dig in and they grit their teeth and they want to try harder, and it gets worse. And then you start to see crocodile tears coming down the eyes because they're trying but they're failing worse. Sometimes as a young hitter, and what these pro guys were learning, that you have to turn the volume down in order to get better results and get louder results. And so when they started to slow down and control tempo more, the results got better. So stress and duress under fire, the 90-mile-an-hour fastball in this case, is no different for a pro hitter when they're trying to figure out how to move their body efficiently and be on time to that pitch. It's no different than the 10-year-old facing faster pitcher for the first time. When the gun goes off, how's the body going to react? Are they going to do the same mechanical swing they did in the cage? Probably not initially. So I think it's important to realize that even though you're working in a teaching, learning environment, that the same success in a game isn't always going to show up the way it was going to happen in a cage. And it goes back to, what are our true outcomes, or future outcome? And it's understanding that it is a process. It's a process that's going to take longer than 6 lessons at the 10-year-old level that you're doing to prep for your off-season or your preseason practices. It's going to take 16 years. That's how long it's going to take to perfect this if you ever get an opportunity to perfect it. So let's keep some short-term goals here. What are the short-term goals for a young hitter? Number one, figure out a style that works for you based on what your athletic assets are. Not everybody is going to have the same musculature and physical athleticism that they bring to the table. So some hitters are going to be able to do a bigger move, some hitters aren't, and you need to figure out how that body can control dynamic balance out to foot down based on how athletic you are. Next, controlling tempo, an absolute. And that was the biggest predecessor that I saw for guys that were having a lot of success over the course of the week with the Cubs versus guys that struggled. It was when they struggled, tempo got faster. Number three, find a drill set that works specifically for you. Taking swings and doing drills with no purpose is exercise. It's not actually getting you better. Figure out what your sticking points are and find a drill set that will continue to work for you. And that's how you manage swing flaws and get better throughout. You talk about young hitters and sometimes learning at the big league level. That's what happened to Kyle Schwarber this year. When you look at video from him last year versus this year, at the times where he was struggling, he was going back to some very basic hitting cues that I would do in day one with a young lesson. Posting up my back leg, knee inside ankle, making sure I'm not overloading to the backside. When I do that, my hips are going to fire late, my upper body's going to fire early, and I'm committing to baseballs too soon. See, it doesn't change if you're a big leaguer. It's the same thing we're trying to get across to younger players. But respect the process. And sometimes the process is going to take longer than you wish to get immediate satisfaction. But if you keep it in check with what you're trying to do for your long-term goals, you're going to find out that over time you're going to look back and realize you're getting a lot better. We have an interesting program that we can highlight for you today. It's brand new at elitebaseball.tv. And we'll link it to our website where you can see it for yourself. A chance to work one-on-one with me digitally. The same thing I do with all of my pro players and the high-end college guys that work with me. It's something that we do more digitally than we do in person. And you can do that same type of training and check it out, working your video analysis with me and getting drills prescribed just for you based on your own immediate needs and really your own hitting program detailed by me. Check it out at elitebaseball.tv. And until next week, we'll see you on the field.